tonight Regal held a mystery movie screening, and all they gave us was the rating. And since this was PG-13 and only $5, I thought I'd give it a whirl, because even if the movie I ended up seeing ended up being terrible, it was only $5, and hey, I have something to review either way. That movie turned out to be the Will Ferrell Ryan Reynolds film Spirited, which is a new take on Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol. And don't worry, this isn't a beat-for-beat retelling of a story you've seen 1,000 times. The film is different and fresh enough to justify its existence. Now, without getting into too heavy of spoilers, I am just going to give you kind of the basic setup. The way the film writes the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future was delightfully creative. They sort of turn it into a business where they find people who are in need of redemption, just like Scrooge. It's sort of like Monsters, Inc. We scare because we care. They scare them into changing their ways, and it's a business. That's kind of a fun take on doing that. I won't say anything more than that because you don't want to go into this knowing anything about it, but that's the basic setup. And this film is a musical, and it's the same songwriting team that did La La Land, Greatest Showman, and most recently Lyle Lyle Crocodile. And the songs and choreography in this are fun, and some of them are actually really funny. Now, the first half did have a bit of too small of a gap between the songs. I think there's a song in the first half, about every 3 to 5 minutes. And sometimes I was left thinking, okay, we just had a song. Does this scene really need a musical number? Can we just use dialogue to move the story along? But the second half, pacing-wise, is definitely better. And the film also has a lot to say about modern-day issues such as cyberbullying and cancel culture without it feeling preachy. The message actually feels genuine and not forced or heavy-handed or in your face. An example of how to do that wrong would be Holmes and Watson, which coincidentally also had Will Ferrell, or Rosalind, I reviewed that a couple weeks ago, and a lot of the jokes in that were society back then was different, ha ha ha. It doesn't do that. It still has a genuine message, and it doesn't feel forced, it doesn't feel preachy, and it still feels modern, and it still feels like it's genuine, and they actually believe what they're saying. And there also is a lot of self-aware humor, and even if you've seen every version of Christmas Carol, which I think is kind of impossible, but if you've seen, there's 1,000 versions of this, even if you've seen every version of it, this isn't predictable. I didn't know where this was going to go, and there were some really good twists. Yes, for me, Spirited was a fresh, fun take on the classic story with a lot of heart and creativity. And for those of you who did not make this and are wondering where can you watch it, in select areas, it releases in theaters on November 11th and will be available to everybody on Apple TV Plus on November 18th. Spirited for me gets A-, 9 out of 10, and 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was an absolute delight.